going to dwarf that. But again, because they are the managers of things, what does the mafia do? The mafia comes into a grocery store or a bar, and they say, look, somebody's going to burn your bar or grocery store down. Somebody's going to beat you and your wife. It's not me, but somebody is. If you don't pay me protection money and let my cousin manage your bar.
Right.
And then in 2 or 3 years, they run up debts in the business owner's name. They ship liquor in one door and sell it out the back, at reduced prices. They run whores out of the operation. They do everything else. It's like in the movie Goodfellas. It's very accurate. And 3 years later, when they can't do anything else, they get a big insurance policy on the building and they firebomb it.
Right.
And that's America. I go back to Cornwall 300 years ago, and the corrupt government allowed this. Whitehall, the British government, the Admiralty allowed this, and they were called wreckers. And every seafaring society, coastal society, has had wreckers. They've had them in Asia. They've had them everywhere. And they would go out, and they're off the Channel, the English Channel, and other areas, in between England and the Irish Sea, and they would have fake lighthouses during bad weather. And they would bring ships, the thousands of ships going back and forth there in the Channel, every year, hundreds of ships, into the rocks. And under salvage law, most of the people didn't know how to swim back then. They drowned because they'd be a mile offshore. And then they would just paddle out in the morning and loot everything off the ships. And that's this gulag economy, this strip mining economy that we live in. That's globalism. It's just like the movie Wall Street. Based on true events, the things we know have happened. The movie itself's fiction, but based as a composite on real events, where they go in and loot and break up and sell off companies. They sell off productivity. These are strip miners. These are not free market people. These are pirates. And people better really get this through your head. It's only going to get worse until you realize that the New World Order and globalism is a corporate takeover of America. And the Democrats tell you government's going to save you, and the Republicans tell you corporations are going to save you. When corporations and government are all, there's many corporations bigger than most governments. They are all married and in an insider good old boy deal to rob us. And I've got 3 children. I'm angry about this. I'm not going to let them be slaves. And we've got to stop these people. And I know I keep stating this is real, this is serious, this is hardcore. Suddenly we have CNBC, the New York Times, the London Telegraph, AP, Reuters, all saying, okay, we're in a depression. But again, their solution is give the bankers more power. Yeah. And so now they're done stalling people, saying give us trillions, we'll fix the problems. Now Bloomberg's reporting that federal regulators, and people say, how do you do this? They don't have a law. They're just thugs. They're just showing up and telling pension fund managers and police pension funds, fire pension funds, corporate pension funds, I've looked at your books. There's an I hadn't dotted, a T hadn't crossed. We're not going to come in here and shut you down if you invest all your money in, quote, failed banks. And then they move the money out of the failed banks into the big mega banks. And so, folks, your pension funds, most of them are already gone. These people are criminals. I mean it. Hardcore crooks. They're going to steal everything.
And right now they're doing it in a way that you don't see it. But when they start to do it with new regulations on your own IRA and the money that you do control, at first it'll be seem like fairly benign. We just want you to have a certain amount in government securities. And I don't think they're going to do it overnight. But they absolutely, over the next several years, will loot that to the point that no one has retirement. People who retired in the last 20 years, 40 years, it wasn't always the defined benefit pension, though that was nice. Everybody had equity in their home that they sold for the most part, and that helped them. Today, people have no equity, virtually no savings, but even if they do, no interest from it, so they're liquidating principal to live. And we are at a point where if we don't get in and stop this, as you say, the end is nearer than we think. And
that's the spin they're putting out. Yeah. The government may take over pension funds to protect them and then pay it out to you.
Yeah.
But they're going to attach part of it, and this is the game plan. Either we say no to the derivatives and the fraud that's been created, or we lose everything. And of course, that's just one way they're taxing us. The other way is we have a depression in the real economy in Main Street, and a depression in wages, and massive layoffs and record levels of of industry shutting down or contracting, and then meanwhile prices are going up across the board.
Exactly.
So you have inflation in prices with depression in the actual economy. This is a contrivance.
Sure it is.
And it's here, and so there's the inflation tax where they're also getting people. And, I mean, just look at how everything is going up in price.
And, you know, it's been doing that really not like it is now, but over the last 40 years. I was joking the other day with someone. I said, you know, today it's Motel 60. 40 years ago it was Motel 6. I don't know anybody whose wages in the same job increased tenfold. So, of course, that's how this wonderful debt has become the anesthesia of the people. And we could go on all night, and some night, if you don't mind, I will impose on you to do that. But in the meantime, had some calls about where to hear you on shortwave. So where are you live on shortwave, frequency-wise?
I'm on WWCR, and to be quite frank with you, they're changing them every 4 or 5 months.
Right.
And so I don't have those numbers in front of me, but they're up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com on the listen page. We try to keep those updated, or people can go to the WWCR Worldwide Christian Radio website, and of course they can always listen. I have a free iPhone app for anybody that has an iPhone. There's an Android app for people with their Wi-Fi cell phones. Free apps at Infowars. And Rollye, you're just so nice to have me on and promote the show. And I said last time I was on that I do want to get you on my show to give us your take on all you're doing. So if you can, come on in the next few weeks, because I always enjoy having you on my show, and I appreciate you having me on. But we're all in this together, and Rothkopf, the head of the Kissinger Group, I interviewed him 2 years ago, and I said, "Why did you come on?" He goes, "Well, we're aware of who you are, and we want to influence you. World government's the way to go." He admitted there's only 6,000 ruling managers and less than 20 families. I mean, this is not even hidden. We can beat these people if the police and the military and the bureaucrats and the corporate people and the talk show hosts really wake up and say, you know what? I was under a spell. There is a world government. There are corrupt international banks. They are trying to rob me, and I'm not going to go along with this, and I'm going to call for them to be arrested. And I'm going to call for them to be given a jury of their peers. I mean, folks, it's either us or them. These people have robbed third world countries hundreds of times.
And on that
they're
note,
now doing it here. They're hitting a big target. And, if we let them buffalo us, and they've already raped us pretty good, if we let them get away with this, the sky's the limit. This isn't a game. People like to make fun of Africa or Latin America or poor parts of Asia and say, oh, they're a bunch of idiots. That's why they're poor. No, they never had the founding fathers. They never had people like George Washington who they said, we want you to be king. And he said, no, I don't even want to be president. They weren't perfect, but they understood the free market and posterity and untying the hands of people to self-determine their destiny. And the Africa and Latin America never got out from under colonialism. They just had different versions of it. They've been looted by these banks in the sharecropper banking fraud, where these families, these elite families, just make up, currency out of nothing. And we're going to live like they do in Nigeria and Guatemala. And the United States just landed scores of ships and troops and just invaded Costa Rica, of all places. And again, we're paying for that, but that's not our government. That's not our military. I care about our military and our troops, but, they need to understand they work for offshore banks now, as two-time Congressional Medal of Honor winner Smedley Butler wrote in his book, War is a Racket. We need to really grow up and understand America's been used to build the world government, and now they're done with us, and they're going to throw us in the gutter.
You're absolutely right about that. And the last 30 seconds, by the way, was on the stream, not on XM, but we will have the entire replay for folks who miss it, and I'll mention that at the top of the hour as well. Always a pleasure, and I absolutely will set an alarm to come on your show. You betcha. And I really appreciate your doing this, and anytime you're available, we want you back.
Well, God bless you, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks, Alex. All righty. So if you're listening on the stream, well, you got that. And everybody will on the replay as well.